Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Amma ba'd. So we continue with the book Al-Ilm Al Amal, or Iqtidaa-ul Ilm al Amal, and this is the second last lesson. And insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, the book or the series that we'll do after that, inshallah, will be a series about the Khawarij. Off the ground, so it will be a series, inshallah Azza wa Jal, about the Khawarij. And we'll explain, inshallah, why we do that series at its time, and we'll announce with a flyer the details of when we'll start, inshallah. But we have this week, and today, inshallah, we finish the chapter, hopefully. And then next week, it's a short chapter, and then some of the main benefits we want to take from the finishing of the book. Narration number 173. Al-Amash said that I heard them mentioning from Shuraih that he once saw some of his neighbors wandering about aimlessly. So he said to them, "What is the matter with you?" They replied, "We have free time today." So he said, "Is this what the one with free time was ordered to do?" Remember, we're speaking about the importance of taking advantage of your youth before your old age and your free time before you become busy, and preparing for the hereafter with good deeds. Free time is something that a lot of us have been blessed with, whether we realize it or not. And if you think that you have no free time, just look at the amount of time that you spend on your phone, and then you'll know how much free time you actually have. Some people that have free time during the day, they know they're able to sleep in tabarakallah until 11, 12 p.m. Other people, you see them, they finish work early, and then they fit in a whole bunch of things before they go back to sleep at night. Other people, even if they are busy during the day, except that when they get home, they can also have the ability to have free time. They get home, they're with their families, but then they stay awake for another 3-4 hours on their phones. But if a person thinks that they have no free time, this is usually not true. Usually. It's extremely rare a person has no free time. But if a person in his free time wants to benefit, doesn't need to be 100% ibadah, doesn't need to be 100% ibadah. But do what you're going to do and make sure it's productive. Make sure it's productive where you have your ibadah in there, and then you also have things that are productive from a worldly sense. A person works out, or the person sees their family, or a person visits some brothers, a person does something which is beneficial. Even if it's worldly, you read a book, you watch a documentary, whatever it's going to be, but try your best not to make it something that has no benefit whatsoever. As for that which is for you to completely zone out, a person wanted to watch something on his phone, or a person wanted to sleep extra, or do something with absolutely no benefit, no problem. You can give your nafs this, but try and limit it. Try and limit it to a point where it's like a rejuvenation, or it's like a refresh or a restart. But for a person to do it to an extent, in multiple hours, where it becomes counterproductive, this is what we don't want as believers who are trying to be seekers of knowledge and trying to get ahead when it comes to the hereafter. The next narration on the third of Anas ibn Malik that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The person with the worst reckoning on the day of judgment is the one with sufficient means and the one with free time." The one who had the ability to not have to work extra. He had sufficient means. Alhamdulillah, his food was there, his money was there, his rent was paid off. He's got what he needs, and he's got free time. And he had the ability now to invest time into worshipping Allah and being productive, but he didn't do so. This narration is very weak. Okay, it's very weak, but take the meaning, take the benefit from the meaning. As we mentioned at the beginning of the book, there's a lot of weak narrations in this book and in a lot of other books that talk about Fadail al-Amal, the virtuous deeds. Now, what's intended is not that it's an authentic narration, but for you to take the benefit from it. Take the benefit from it. Yes, we don't attribute it back and say the Prophet ﷺ said it, but nevertheless there's a benefit that you can take from it. And that is, that if you, alhamdulillah, have that which is sufficient for you, why do you need to work extra? This shows that your priorities are off. A person who, alhamdulillah, his needs are looked after and he's comfortable. Why does he need to work, for example, Saturday? There was one brother, Allah Mabarak, and he was an accountant, he was working a very good job, but he wanted to work Uber on weekends. So why, alhamdulillah, if you're looked after, why do you also want to work more? Why do you also want to work more? Why don't you invest that time into something more beneficial? Whether if you're a student of knowledge into things like memorizing the Quran or listening to lessons or series or reading books, whatever it may be. And also, if you're not going to do that 24/7, you can do things that are more productive. Better your social life. Go and visit your family members. Spend time with your wife and children. And you work on yourself. And you exercise, etc. Go on holidays. Go and do something which is going to be productive for you. But for you to want to work extra so that you can earn more money, this shows that your priorities are off. Yes, it's halal. It's halal. Remember, again, we need to constantly remind ourselves of golden rules. The golden rule when it comes to becoming a student of knowledge or wanting the higher levels of Iman is that it's no longer about halal and haram. That's another discussion. This is for a layman, a person who's beginning, a person who the Iman is not strong. For them, the discussion of halal and haram happens. For those that want to be better, the discussion becomes a matter of what? Good and better. Naam, good and better. So it's not a matter of, is it haram to work weekends also? No, it's halal. But if a person doesn't need to, why are you investing all of that time and effort in such a matter? Rather, you should have higher aspirations than that, which means that you need to prioritize properly. The next narration that Muawiyah ibn Qurra said, the person who will receive the most reckoning on the Day of Judgment is the healthy one and the one with lots of free time. Again, all of this is taken from the hadith. Okay, they're taken from the hadith that the thing that many people incur loss in is health and free time. And you're going to have a problem on the Day of Judgment when you had so much ability, you didn't have an excuse. And if someone, for example, who was sick, he can say, Ya Allah, I didn't have the ability to go to the masjid. I didn't have the ability to memorize. I didn't have the ability to sit with the scholars. I didn't have the ability to go out and work and earn money and give him sadaqah. I didn't have the ability, Ya Allah. Or someone who's actually very busy. For example, he has to look after his sick parents. So he's always busy. He has an excuse why he couldn't come to the masjid. I know some brothers, for example, their wives were very sick, one particular case. She had, for example, bad arthritis. So in the mornings, he could never leave the house. For Fajr, he could never leave. Why? Because he had to help his wife with the salah, etc., and looking after the kids in the morning. And in the evenings also, it was hard for him, especially in winter, to be out of the house because he needed to be home helping look after the kids. But this person, okay, there's an excuse there. There's an excuse. Someone needs to look after his parents because they're sick or they need their assistance or maybe they've become a little bit senile, there's some dementia there. So they don't want them wandering off or hurting themselves. So then they spend extra time there. Okay, there's somewhat of an excuse. But a person who simply has free time and has the ability but wastes it, this is a person that's going to be judged hara on the day of judgment because there's no excuse there. There's no excuse. And for you, you should not allow yourself to be held to that standard. No, you have free time. Okay, how can you invest it in that which is better? You have free time. How can you prepare for your hereafter? You have the ability, the mental ability, the emotional capability. You invest in strengthening your knowledge. And wallah, every class that I teach, especially with the teenagers, where we discuss certain topics that are relevant to them, the only difference from them being a good teenager, a religious, upright teenager that's not falling into stupid matters, and one that is following, unfortunately, whims and desires and what society wants, the matter is only knowledge. The difference is only knowledge. Even the one that still falls into haram after knowing, you see the haram is limited. And it's not hard for them to come back to the deen. Because they understand right and wrong. They understand the severity of matters. They understand where they're going wrong. They understand how to repent. They understand why they shouldn't just follow trends. They understand the consequence of their actions. But a person who doesn't know, how does he know right from wrong for him to follow it? If he makes a mistake, how does he rectify it? If he doesn't know the severity of matters, how is he going to be scared about it? So the more you learn, the stronger your iman is going to become if you start to implement what you're doing. When you want to advise others, when you know how to advise others, you're more effective in your da'wah. When you want to stay away from haram, but you don't want to fall into issues that people end up with, like things like depression, etc., where they try and stay away from what they think is haram, but really it's halal. So they're causing an issue where they think they're getting religious, but they're staying away from things actually good. Okay, because they don't understand. Don't rely on your feelings, don't rely on your emotions, don't rely on what you think is good. You need that knowledge. And when you have free time, you are able to invest in seeking that knowledge, no matter where it is. The next narration, Abu Darda wrote to Salman, from Abu Darda to Salman, "Oh my brother, take advantage of your health and your free time before some affliction befalls you, which none of the people will be able to remove from you." This is, subhanAllah, a very, very, very profound reminder. And how many people now, alhamdulillah, there is nothing wrong with them in their life, nothing at all. They're able to work, they're able to eat, they're able to sleep properly, they're able to pay attention, they're able to do whatever. They're able to do whatever. But then out of nowhere, this blessing could be taken away from them. And this is a matter that most of us know examples of in our lives. A person, for example, has an accident at work. He has to, for example, do a back operation. Because of the amount of pain that they're in, they need to take certain medications. That medication stops their brain from being able to function properly. They can't pay attention anymore. There are brothers who would not be able to see how, some brothers sitting on the chairs. They can't even sit on a chair. Every few minutes they need to get up and they need to walk around because they can't concentrate. That's why their body can't be relaxed, can't be in one state at a time. Now you're sitting down, you're looking at me, you're paying attention. They can't be in a place where they're paying attention for more than a minute or two. Because of the amount of medicine that they need to take, their brain is not there anymore. They pay attention, but then they forget. They get to pay attention, but they zone out. They pay attention, but then they fall asleep, etc. They don't have the ability. It becomes problematic. Some people are nomadic in their life. Financially, they find they're comfortable. But then a matter happens, for example, one of the brothers, even today, called me up about a particular matter where life was going good. Now he's in an extreme amount of debt. Okay, an extreme amount of debt, and that's causing him so much worry and concern and problems. May Allah make his affairs easy in the affairs of the believers. But instead of being able to before sit down and pay attention, be relaxed, now if he was in the position that you're in now, he would not be listening to one word that I'm saying. Why? Because he's thinking about his debts. How am I going to pay my debts off? How am I going to finish from these problems? I've got deadlines coming up. It's going to affect my work. It's going to affect my reputation. Is it going to come back on my family? His brain is working overtime. So it's a problem. It's a massive problem. So if you are in blessing now where you have the ability, take advantage of it because you don't know what the future holds for you. You don't know what the future holds. One of the brothers, may Allah again make his affairs easy in all of the affairs of the believers, and he was involved in an accident. From that one accident, he's never been the same again. Okay, because of issues that have been health issues that continue to recur from the accident, which makes him go up and down in his state. Sometimes he's able, sometimes he's not able to do certain things. So you not knowing what the future holds means you take advantage of what you have now. What you have now. No one knows what the future holds. No one knows. It could be even marriage. You see some brothers, for example, now he's in school. He goes, inshallah, after school, I'll get more religious. Then after school, he wants to work a little bit, maybe wants to travel a little bit, maybe wants to get into university straight away. So he gets into that and he says, inshallah, after uni or after I start my career or after my holidays, then I'll inshallah become more religious. Then he gets married. After I get married, then I'll be alright, inshallah. Sometimes he waits to such a point. He gets to the point that the shaitan's been fooling him. He gets to a point, for example, when he gets married, that's when his life falls apart. Because his wife does his head in, or his wife causes a lot of marriage problems, or there's a lot of issues, and that causes him not to be able to pay attention. He wants to go to the lesson, his wife causes a fight with him. He wants to go and memorize Quran, his wife wants to start a fight with him. He wants to go and work less, so he can focus more on his akhirah because he doesn't need to work more. His wife asks for business class tickets to Dubai, etc., etc., etc. And he thought, okay, I'm going to work up to this point. He got to the point that he finally expected, and then he had issues in his life. You don't know what the future holds for you. There's never going to be a perfect time. The perfect time is literally now. Literally now. For you to implement what you need from life. Take it as a golden rule even for life. Even for life. Don't worry about, wallah, on Monday I'm going to start my diet. If you're true, you start now. Don't worry about Monday I'm going to start my exercise. If you're true, you start now. Don't worry about Monday I'm going to, inshallah azza wa jal, fix up the things that I owe people. That you owe people things. Fix it up now. Don't delay, because you don't know what the future holds for you. The next generation, 177, Al-Awza'i wrote to one of his brothers to proceed. You are surrounded by all sides, by the devil, and some of the other explanations. You're surrounded by all sides, matters, all types of matters, dunya and the like. You're surrounded by all sides and He's constantly whispering to you every day. So be fearful of Allah and standing in front of Him. You now are being tested 24/7. You have a test. 24/7. Don't think you're ever not in a moment of a war within yourself, with dunya, with shaitan, with society. You're never not in a war. You're always in a war. You're always in a battle. Whether you realize it or not. Even when you're laying down on your couch and there's no one there. There's no one there, you're in a battle. Between you and your nafs, for example. You're sitting there on your phone. There's no one telling you to watch haram. You can't hear the whispers of shaitan. Sometimes the shaitan's not even whispering to you. But for example, yourself. Do you watch this or you don't watch this? Do you look at this? Do you not look at that? Do you go on this app or do you not go on that app? Do you watch these videos or you don't watch that videos? Do you listen to that music or you don't listen to that music? You're in a battle. You don't even realize it. Sometimes you could be with your family, you're in a battle. You don't realize it. You could be out with your friends, you're in a battle, you don't realize it. You could be at work, you're in a battle, you don't realize it. So it is important that a person constantly reminds himself that he's in a constant battle, 24/7. And when you're younger, because part of this is taking advantage of your youth before your old age. When you're younger, the attacks on you are worse, the battle is harder. Because you have desires, you have aspirations. When a person becomes an old man, it becomes khalas. Life becomes a lot more simple for him. He's not necessarily thinking about marrying all these different types of women. He's not chasing women at that age. No, he's not worried about if he hasn't made it financially. He's not worried about making it financially. Like he's not going to go say, I want to work 3 jobs or go back to uni so I can get into this line of work. Khalas, these things are gone for him. He's become an old man now. Now he's thinking about settling down, retirement and the like. But when you're in your youth, you're in your prime, now you're thinking about working and you've got energy and you can do whatever you want. You've got aspirations, you want to establish, etc. So for you, the fitna is worse. You want a certain type of woman, you want a certain type of car, you want a certain type of entertainment, you want a certain type of this, you want a certain type of that. It becomes hard for you. So the test for you when you're younger is harder. That's why the rewards for being more righteous when you're younger is more. Because the test is harder, the reward is going to be more. But you need to understand that reality. Same thing with your free time. Your free time is more than the older person. You may think in terms of, what do you mean? How can the old man who doesn't have this to do, this to do or that to do, how can my free time be more than his? Right now, you don't have responsibilities. The majority of you, not all of you, the majority of you don't have responsibilities. Someone who's older in age, and he's got, for example, businesses to look after, a wife and kids to look after, marriage problems all around him that he has to go and deal with, helping people in the community. The headaches that he gets just from dealing, not himself, but dealing with other people's problems, is through the roof. Alhamdulillah, you don't have that. Your biggest issue today is, what you're going to order from the chicken shop next door. That's your biggest issue, your biggest concern. Am I going to order this today or am I going to order that today? Your biggest issue is after when you get a cocktail shop, what are you going to order this or are you going to order that? And you end up ordering the same thing you order all the time anyway. Now, that's your biggest concern. Your biggest concern, okay, at the end of the year, the holidays are coming up, where am I going to get trouble? This place is holiday, that place is holiday. For most people. Okay, but he's still got free time in his life. If he was to, and he sit down 5 hours straight and not do anything, his life won't fall apart. If he was to take a week off, his life's not going to fall apart. But when your kids get older and you have issues after issues after issues that you need to do, if you've got that many people relying on you through your business, through your life, through your social network, that it becomes very hard, you become very busy. You can't just shut off from the world. So if you have that ability now, you need to take advantage of that and not be fooled by the shaitan. Not be fooled by the shaitan. Don't worry, bro. Keep on working, and inshallah, when you get to this age, then you can relax. Keep working. Inshallah, when you buy this house, then you can relax. Keep working. When you have a wife, then you can relax. Keep working. When you finish your degree, then you can relax. No. This is all being fooled by the shaitan and your nafs. Now, same thing as we mentioned, when you're alone, say, khalas, tomorrow I'll do it. Later I'll do it. No, you're not worried about tomorrow. You're worried about now and not being led astray from those tests that come. Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah, said in Masjid al-Haram, Abu Ata, who was another scholar, we are sitting while the day is busy doing its affairs. I said, meaning Ata, I'm in a good state, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Inshallah, I'm good. I'm in the masjid, I'm doing ibadah, etc. He said, yes, but it is about hastening to take advantage of one's time. Then he told me, oh Ata, verily when the believer is in his final place of standing, he will see with his eyes what Allah has prepared for him in paradise. But yet, in spite of this, he will wish that he was never created due to the state of fright that he will be in. Again, this is a matter of humility. Okay, a person being humble. That even though he sees what is there potentially for him in the paradise, he's still unsure about the reality of where he's going. Taban, we know that the angels, when they come down to take out the soul, we know that they put the believer at rest and they say, "A good soul, return back to your Lord," etc. So this is from the humility of the scholars. So no one says, "Oh, Sufyan al-Thawri, big scholar, he doesn't know what happens at the time of death." Don't misunderstand again the words of the scholars. Understand them in their place. Just like if the scholar said, the thing that I think will enter me the most into the hellfire is my knowledge. Doesn't he know that the scholars have from extremely high levels in paradise and they get so much hasanat because they teach others, and then they understand that they're being humble. Okay, they're being humble. What he's saying is a person, he doesn't have time to waste. He doesn't have time to waste. You're going to be that worried when you pass away, are you going to enter paradise or not? That what's your concern going to be? Imagine now, the angels come to take your soul. And you're worried, am I going to get a Jannah or not? What is your concern going to be? Did I do enough? Yes or no? That's going to be your concern. Did I do enough to get a Jannah? Yes or no? So now, if you were to go back and to change anything in your life, what would you change? You would change all of your free time to what? To ibadah. Taban, it's not practical right now. The reality is it's not practical for you to be in 24/7 ibadah. It's not practical. But if in terms of, if you were to say one thing that you wish you could have done, okay, one thing that you wish you could have done, at that time, you would have said to you say to yourself, I wish if I had the chance to go back, I'll do every second that I had, I'll leave it in ibadah. Not only that, I would work less, I'll have the bare minimum, just enough to get by, in order to free up my time for what? For ibadah. Tayyib. Us knowing that we're going to be in that state at the time of death, if the smart person, the intellectual person, the rational person, the logical person, is the one who prepares as much as he can from now. So that you don't fall into that state of regret and despair at the time of death. And if this is after saying Jannah, you're still going to wish, I done more and more and more. And did I do enough? Imagine a person who is not even anywhere near this. A person who all is prepared for his hereafter is major sins and minor sins and wasting of time and neglecting the obligations, etc. We know that in the hereafter, we're not going to care. You're not going to care whether you beat your friend 4-2 in Arba'miyyah or not. This is straight out. You're not going to care that Barcelona beat Chelsea or Arsenal beat Liverpool. You're not going to care. You're not going to care as much as I love the Bulldogs. You're not going to care that Bulldogs have not entered the finals for the past 10 years. Unfortunately, Allah musta'an. You're not going to be upset. The reality is you're not going to be upset. You're not going to be upset. What are you going to be upset about? You're going to be upset, subhanallah, I missed the tahajjud. Subhanallah, I missed praying in the masjid. Subhanallah, I didn't memorize the Quran. Subhanallah, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. Us knowing that that's going to be our regret, the smart person is the one who does his best to prepare as much as he can from now. Do as much as you can. Again, we're not talking about a person, khalas, leave the dunya, leave your friends, leave all types of fun and enjoyment, leave absolutely everything, and free yourself up in the masjid 24/7 for ibadah. This is not what Islam came to tell you. Never told you that. Islam encouraged people to go and work. And Islam encouraged that. Didn't say sit in the masjid all day. Said go and work. But make sure you have that balance. Minimally have that balance. Okay, you go work, and Islam said that you have time for your own nafs. Now, but also, there's a big focus on getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through knowledge and acts of worship and the like. 179. Ibn Samak entered into the presence of Abu Bakr while he was in the marketplace praying, not Abu Bakr al-Nahshali, while he was praying in the marketplace with head motions. He was sitting, he wasn't able to pray properly, but as he was in the marketplace, he was still praying. And he said to him, subhanallah, over such a state of being, this person's in the marketplace and he's still, subhanallah, praying. So Abu Bakr replied back to him, O Ibn Samak, I am taking advantage of my time before the closing of my book. Yani now the angels are writing. We have the opportunity to do good. We have the opportunity. A time will come where the book will be closed. And I'm going to regret the time that I didn't spend in the ibadah. So when I have the opportunity, why should I waste it? Why should I waste my time? Let me fill it up as much as I can before that book is closed. Imagine, yani, now the bank opened up its doors, or there's big treasure now here. Make it even more practical. Forget a bank. Imagine now a truck comes and dumps a whole bunch of gold at the back and says, gives you a bag. He says, Habib, I'm going to give you 5 minutes for you to fill up as much gold as you can. Take as much gold as you can, but you've only got 5 minutes. Who's going to get to the bathroom in that 5 minutes? Who's going to be on his phone watching TikTok in that 5 minutes? Who's going to have a conversation with his friend about work in that 5 minutes? No one's going to bother with anything except filling up that bag as much as he can. That's the reality. That's the reality. Now, one of our downfalls is that we don't have 5 minutes, because someone might say, Sheikh, that's very easy, 5 minutes. We have 60, 70, 80 years, which means you need to be more disciplined. This is part of the test. This is part of the test. 5 minutes, anyone can be religious for 5 minutes. Look at Salat al-Jum'ah. Allahumma zid wa barik. Everyone is 100%. His phone rings, it's music, he jumps 3 backflips to turn it off. Why? Because haram, aib, in the masjid, it's not good. It's embarrassing, it doesn't look good. Outside of the masjid, he leaves smoking, swearing, music again, no problem. The deen is not about, for the higher levels, it's not about 5 minutes in the masjid. Yes, alhamdulillah, done excellent. That you came and you're able to pray and you be decent for this time. This is excellent. Inshallah, you'll be rewarded by Allah Azza wa Jal. But is that person the same as the one who 24/7 is trying to be religious and upright? Of course not. Again, this is the level that we're trying to get to through the knowledge that we seek and the lives that we try and live. You want to seek those higher levels. So whilst there is time for fun and games and relaxation and the like, it's not all of your time. Rather, you use it in terms where it's productive and it's an encouragement and motivation and rejuvenation for you to get back to that which is more serious. Ibn Abdul Mun'im narrated to us in Egypt that Abdan ibn Uthman narrated to us saying, I heard Ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah say, take advantage of performing 2 prayers of units, 2 rak'at, to draw closer to Allah when you are in a relaxed state and not preoccupied. And when you feel like uttering words of falsehood, replace that instead with tasbih, saying subhanallah. Meaning, take advantage of your time, and if you have free time, get up and pray. One of the most beautiful things, if you ever want to get an excellent night's sleep, then tell yourself you want to get up and pray 2 rak'at. If you're sitting on the couch and you're wasting your time, for example, you're on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever stupid apps any people use, now, and you're flicking through and you say, you know what, let me go and pray 2 rak'at for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Watch how tired you get straight away. Straight away you feel, you know what, don't want to 2 rak'at, I'm going to go to sleep. The shaitan, the most hated thing to the shaitan is for you to do ibadah. As long as you're wasting time, ya Allah, waste time, waste, Habibi, waste. Listen to that music, watch those girls, ahlan wa sahlan. Waste as much time as you can. As soon as ibadah comes into the picture, shaitan comes, starts giving you like a massage and draws on your back and starts singing to you, Hassisan, Shua Halween. He wants you to make sure you fall asleep. La, don't do ibadah. Anything besides ibadah. That's where the fight with your nafs comes in. That's where the fight with your nafs comes in. Okay, you spent, for example, no problem, you spent an hour wasting time, no problem. Ala aini wa rasi. We'll give ourselves an hour. Because khalas, then when you start to get 2, 3, 4 hours every single day, this starts to become problematic. There's I read it on the news. You should know, Allah yahdik. There's like a trend, I don't know, zombie something, where people, they wake up and they stay the whole day in bed just watching shows, like adults. This was like a new trend, like a new thing that they'll do. It's like a reward yourself for something. They would wake up and the whole day, they don't even get out of pajamas, they ain't going to get out of bed or anything. They stay in their bed the whole day and just watch TV shows and series. La ilaha illallah. And even as a human being, you feel ugly if you do that. As a human being, you feel ugly. You feel like a junkie if you do that. And what purpose do you have in your life? This is why people commit suicide. That's my life, that I'm sitting here as a 30-year-old, 35-year-old, in my bed over the weekend watching movies all day. What's the point of living? Khalas, Assalamu alaikum. There's no point in me being alive. Jayyid. For a person, if he's got free time and you wanted to, again, blow off a bit of steam, you wanted to get your mind out of this world for a bit, al-aini wa rasi, done. But then until when? Until when? The most beneficial thing that you can do, at least go to sleep, especially at night time. Go to sleep so you can wake up easy for Fajr. Minimum. If you're not going to get up and pray 2 rak'ahs for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then go and sleep so you can wake up easily for Fajr. And how many brothers say, I wish I could pray Qiyam al-Layl? Wallah, it's easy. All it takes is a bit of effort and discipline. This is our problem. The effort and discipline. And this is what differentiates, again, people that are righteous from people that, not people that are righteous, people that are higher in levels of Iman and higher levels of Ibadah from those that are not. It's just that discipline. They have the same night time that we have. They have the same day that we have. The difference is, a lot of the time when we go home now, we're going to be sitting on our phones for 3-4 hours. When they go home, even if they sat for 1 hour, except that, khalas, they're either going to go to sleep so that they can wake up extra early and pray at night, or they're going to make wudu and pray 2 rak'ahs for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while they're there. That's the difference.
Can I explain something?
After the lesson. After the lesson, no problem. For a person, when he puts in that effort, he will find that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that judgment, and also that beauty in this dunya. And this is part of halawatul iman, the sweetness of faith that a person will find in this dunya. And when a person enters it, may Allah allow us to be people that enter it, when a person enters it, the ladhat of the dunya no longer mean anything to him. Like the ladhat of this dunya, the sweetnesses of this dunya no longer mean anything to him, because they know how temporary they are. You imagine a person who's never eaten chocolate in his life before, and it's like a really ugly chocolate that no one would look at twice. Now, but he's never tasted chocolate before, how much he'll fall in love with it. And then give him to like another higher level sweets, for example. One thing is, khalas, this is no way I'll look at it when I can have this much higher level, much better. Now, this is a very, 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 again, small parable compared to that which you can enjoy in this dunya and that which is the sweetness you get from ibadah. Abu Ahmed Mansur ibn Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Azdi recited the following poem from himself to us in Hirat. Do not look down upon a helping hour in which you can extend your hand towards obedience, for the living person is subject to death and hopes are a deception, and the matter is always changing from 1 hour to another. Meaning, when you have time, look for something that's going to help you later on. If now, alhamdulillah, let's say Saturday, this Saturday, you have nothing to do. This Saturday, you have nothing on. If someone now knows, let's just say today's Tuesday, he knows on Saturday he's got nothing on. Most people, what are they going to do from now on to Saturday? Plan something. So, for the whole day. You're going to plan something, you know what, okay, the semi-finals are on. I'm going to watch the semi-finals. Even though I don't watch AFL because it's from Melbourne, you know what, I'm going to watch the AFL semi-final as well. I've got nothing on the weather. Mashallah, the weather looks good. You know, I'm going to invite the family out for a barbecue. You know what, in the morning I'm free, khalas, maybe I'll have breakfast with the brothers. What ends up happening from him having 24 hours free on Saturday, he filled that up, now he's got no free time whatsoever. That if that person, again, this is just an example, if that person said, you know what, just 2 hours, I'm going to come to the masjid and memorize Quran that day. Just 2 hours on that Saturday, I'm going to come memorize Quran. You don't think he'll be a hafiz of Quran by now? This is the reality. He's saying take advantage of that helping hour. You have an hour, you have a period of time free. Khalas, leave it in ibadah. Why do you need to fill it up with something else? This is what Ibn Mubarak was saying. Why do you need to fill it up with other things? Go and pray 2 rak'ahs. Go and pray 2 rak'ahs for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have free time. Go and do something beneficial with it. Go and read a book. Go and visit someone that you haven't visited in a long time. Go and mend relationships that have been breaking for many years. You have holidays. A lot of brothers, for example, especially teachers or students, you have, Allah Mabarak, 12 weeks of free time in the year. Okay, what are you going to do with that? So a person says he's 40, 50 years old. I don't know how to read Quran. Why do you not know how to read Quran? You got, for example, 4 weeks off every single year, annual leave. As an example, did you invest your time? You have Saturday, Sunday. Did you invest your time? You have 5 days in the week. You have multiple hours after work that you're not working. Have you invested your time? If you were to even start like 1 day in that week, just 1 day in that week or 2 days in that week, by the end of the year, you know how to read Quran properly, fluently, easily. And reading 1 juz a day will take you half an hour, maximum, inshallah. You'll finish the Quran every single month, just by spending half an hour with the Quran a day. But get to that level, work towards it. Now, so don't be a person that has free time and says, you know what, I'm not going to take advantage of that time, or he wastes that free time. Rather, make sure you put in the effort. Make sure you put in the effort. You have free time. Again, we are not saying don't have anything from enjoyment. We're not saying don't exercise, don't go fishing, don't go work on your cars. Go do what you want. But try your best to limit your time where there's no benefit whatsoever, like on your phone. Try your best to have, if you have free time, to make it as productive as possible. And also make sure that you have that balance where you're doing ibadah. You're doing ibadah in any of its forms. For the living person is subject to death and hopes for a deception. Big any problem that a lot of people fall into is tomorrow. And this is from the shaitan. Shaitan خلاص التمني. You just you're deceived thinking that later on I'll do it. Hopeful what's it called? My brain's gone. Wishful thinking. Jazakallah khairan. Wishful thinking. A person has wishful thinking. خلاص inshallah this weekend I'm going to change. Next month I'm going to change. The next course I'm going to change. The next year I'm going to change. If you started from before, you'd be a scholar by now. You'd be a scholar by now. Some brothers, very few, but some brothers, Allahu Barik, they've been coming to the classes from Sulaiman. How many, mashallah, series have you attended now? I forgot, but Sulaiman is almost like a scholar, Allahu Barik. If a person comes, you're coming 1 hour, sometimes I get a little bit over the time, sorry. Person comes 1 hour, but for example, 5-6 years ago, okay, maybe longer, Allahu Alam, and you're just consistent. You're consistent on it, you're consistent on it. You know most of the answers that you get asked the other day. Sometimes, this is the funny, sometimes Sulaiman will call me, and he'll ask me a question that he's asked before, but he wants to make sure, and I'll answer, and for whatever reason I gave the wrong answer. He goes, Sheikh, are you sure? And he's calling me to ask me, and he goes, I'm pretty sure you said something. And then, I don't know why, I had a brain slip. So I said, you know what? Now you confused me, let me get a researcher. And I researched it, and he was right. He called me to ask me the question. I gave him the answer. He said the answer was wrong based on what you told me before. So I said, Jazakallah khairan for the reminder. And this is, Jazakallah khairan, he's reminding, but you're not going to be able to get that without putting in the effort. And he's not sitting here, wallah, pen and paper, and paying attention to every single letter that we say. Jazakallah khairan, he does what he can, barakallahu fi. I'm giving you some props. He's doing what he can, but over time, what ends up happening? You end up learning, and you can help others, you can help yourself, you can even correct the person that's teaching you at times. But it's just these little steps that a person will be able to achieve. Now they'll be able to achieve amazing things. As I say, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. Don't believe anything from good, and then they finish off by saying that even the mountains are made from pebbles. Okay, the mountains are made from pebbles. These little things turn into something great at the end of it. So if you're doing Quran once a week, Allahu A'lam where you'll be at the end of it. 3-4 years, you memorize the Quran, for example. You do reading of the Quran. At the end of the year, you'll be able to read the Quran. And you do 2 rak'ats of Qiyam al-Layl, just 2 rak'at. At the end of the year, you'll be doing 4, you'll be doing 6 rak'at. You do something small, and inshallah will only increase to that which is better. Inshallah, we'll stop here, and we'll continue next week, where we'll finish bidnillah azza wa jal, the book. هذا والله أعلم صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله محمد وصحبه أجمعين.